On your feet! Get them going!
This automatic intro thing, I keep forgetting to turn my camera on at the beginning of the show. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever the case may be. Welcome Cross Examinations Live. Today, once again, we are going through the Rising Sun Bible study from the Grove Church. Hello, all. Welcome to the channel. If you are new, which most of you are not, because it's just my little gaggle of Bible study friends that we come on and chat scripture and life about with. That's not proper English. Hello, Amy and Melissa Lester and Lady Celtic Moon. Always here, right and ready to gear. And Drake Dunstan rolling in right behind. Who's next? Come on, bring it on. Arlene, what's up? Arlene, what's up? Dang it. And as soon as I start getting messages. No. All right, I'll mute that for 2 hours. It's so funny, right? Every time, as soon as I start the show, I start getting messages on Telegram, and then I get the little annoying little ding, ding, ding. I had a realization today while wasting my time on Twitter arguing with someone who hates me. Being told what a terrible Christian I am because of greed or something. And it dawned on me that, there's a group of people out there who view me the way MSNBC viewers view Donald Trump, right? Because all they get from MSNBC is nonstop hatred. Like every time Donald Trump is mentioned, it's Trump, evil, orange, bad man. And so the media, this certain little group of people consumes is Mike, yellow, Batman. Right? And so granted, I've blocked most of these people just because it's a horrible thing to say, but I don't think it's worth my time. It's like saying people aren't worth my time. People are worth my time. But at the same time, it's like, I don't have time for every person on earth. I know what I don't particularly have time for is people are so brainwashed into this idea of who they think I am because of Yellow Man Bad, that I can't spend my time, and there's zero possible way to convince them of the facts via Twitter. So it's like I invited this one person to join the Bible study today to get a better measure of the person who he's been lied to about. We'll see if he shows up. I'm hoping he does. I'm guessing he won't. Tina's back! Tina, safe? Are we safe down there in Florida ways? Gosh dang it. It seems like everybody in the chat right now is from Florida. How strange. It's sad that people are so deceived. Look, anywhere you go, you're going to get biased information. That's just reality, right? Lady Celtic Moon says, nope, as in not in Florida. You can't help everyone. It's better to look for the ones you can. True. And Potts is here. Hello. You say hi to everybody in the chat, and you don't say hi to me, Jeff. Really? Maybe the person will lurk and listen. That'd be fine. Yeah. I mean, join the conversation. Be part of the fellowship. Jake's not in Florida. He's from the next most flat state. Texas? Are you in Texas? Because if you're in Dallas, there's a joke in Dallas that Dallas is so flat you can watch your dog run away for 3 days. Artemis Arrow, what's up, dude? It's been 1 billion years. I think that's probably a little bit of an exaggeration, but I get it. Texas is not flat. Dallas is flat. And you know what? I've driven across Texas numerous times. Most of Texas, pretty damn flat. Pretty damn flat. Oh, Illinois. You are come from Illinois. This is a French province, no? Actually, my wife spent, what is it, first 13 years of her life in Illinois. In right at the bottom, Caro, where the rivers intersect, what used to be called Little Chicago. Yeah, South Texas is especially flat. I mean, Texas is so huge. So, like, I don't know how it is up in North Texas. I've never gone further north than Dallas, Fort Worth, or further south than San Antonio. So that's kind of my range. It's like El Paso to Austin, and then Austin to Dallas, or Austin to San Antonio. That's and then wherever Fredericksburg is. That's the entire thing. Crypto Comics says, I left you a lengthy comment on the stream a few days ago regarding Yahweh in Sodom raining down fire from Yahweh in heaven. Did you read it? I did. And I commented on it the next day. Crypto, where were you the next day to hear me comment on your comment? Suffice to say, I can see where you would get that exegesis, but it doesn't read like that to me. So, and hello, student of God, welcome, hail, hail. So I'm not saying you're wrong. I just don't agree. Is that fair enough? From my reading, my exegesis, I don't see what you're, I don't see what you're saying as concrete. I can see how you can see what you're saying, but I don't see it as concrete. Must have checked just before you left. La la la. Hail, hail. Everybody's saying hello to each other in the chitty chat. Well, Mike, you did kind of come in hot to that tweet. Did I? Oh. I'm going back to the origin point. Well, yeah. I mean, I grant you, I can be the wee tiniest bit snarky on Twitter. I will grant you this. But it's that goes back to the Donald Trump thing. Is Donald Trump orange man bad because mean tweets? I don't think anybody here would probably say that. I don't think anybody that would sorry. I don't think anybody in the space that we all overlap in would say that, right? But oh, Mike does snarky tweet, yellow man bad. Yellow man bad. Ain't nothing wrong with a little snark every now and then. Yes. Student of God says Mike's take on the trans Star Wars thing was a funny way to look at it. Yeah. Okay. So for those of you who don't, I know I'm 9 minutes in. It's not a Bible study yet. You guys all know about the trans clone trooper, right? Well, my take, if you're not on Twitter, and God bless you if you're not, my take on that was that that's the most base thing Disney Star Wars has managed to do, was to make one of millions and millions and millions and millions of identical clones, DNA, genetic clones, literal Xerox copies of one another, and make one of them trans. Because what that indicates is that they also believe that being trans is a mental disorder. Because everyone's genetics are identical, exactly identical, but something happened to this one particular clone that messed up their brain and made them believe they were a woman. Thank you, Disney Star Wars, for making the point. that the transitioning idea is a mental disorder. Mike has an excellent point. Thank you, Arlie. Please provide a Venn diagram of where we overlap. Poor Kamala. Well, the general audience that I'm talking about, we all generally are right of center. Not even like crazy conservative, but right of center on most issues. I don't think there's any crazed leftist SJWs in our room. And most of us are Trump supporters. Most of us, not all of us. You don't have to be a Trump supporter to come join the fellowship of cross-examinations. But, you know. Tina says, I'm really sick of having these agendas shoved down our throats all the time. Transclone is beyond stupid, in my opinion. I know, but they kick themselves in the agenda by doing this because they're clones. And that's the greatest argument against any of this sexual deviancy being genetic, because identical twins are literally clones, right? So therefore, if the deviant sexual anything, identities, desires, blah blah blah, all this stuff, that entire LGBTYQWXYZ LMNOP, that entire spectrum, if it was genetic, every single time you had identical twins and one of them is any color of the rainbow flag, the other one also has to be that color of the rainbow flag. You hardly ever see both sets of an identical twins where one is gay or one is trans and the other one is also. Almost never. Even though they grew up in the same home, same circumstances, except maybe, you know, slightly different experiences. Maybe one of them was molested, one of them was not. Whatever it is proof 1,000,000%. And Disney Star Wars just approved that truth, that it's all in your head. It's all in your head. What's the topic today? The topic today is Mark 6, 1 through 16. Why don't we get started on that? Mark 6. All right. I think most of it is environmental. Yeah. I mean, it's the funny thing, because pretty much everyone will agree that we are the accumulation of our experiences, right? Well, I mean, I hate, that's why I feel for so many of these people who are like truly this way and not just like following some social paradigm where in the old days you'd become a punk rocker or you'd become a stoner, or you'd become some sort of an outcast. Rather than that, they're like, oh, I want to become the opposite sex now. Whee! It's a social contagion, and that's why it's so prevalent and everywhere, and like it's but the topic I'd squirrel at the moment, student. The topic I'd squirrel at the moment. Oh, are you trying to say that the topic is whatever the squirrel is that I'm chasing at the moment? Okay. All right. Let's get to Mark chapter 6, verses 1. Present, share screen. 1 to what? 1 to 6. Ooh, that's a very short reading today. Maybe I do have more time to bloviate on random squirrels. Squirrels! All right. Let me have a sip of my cough tea. My wife came in here and just took a sip of out of my drink. She's like, what is that? I'm like, it's cough tea. It's I had some coffee left in my drink, and then I filled the rest up with iced tea. All right. Let's go. Cough tea. Good stuff. I should bottle cough tea. Why not? And he went out from thence and came into his own country, and his disciples followed him. And when the Sabbath day was come, he began to teach in the synagogue, and many hearing him were astonished, saying, From whence hath this man these things? And what wisdom is this which is given unto him, that even such mighty works are wrought by his hands? Is this not the carpenter, the son of Mary, the brother of James and Joseph and Judah and Simon? And are not his sisters here with us? And they were offended at him. I'm not going to get into the whole Catholic thing about this, but this is obviously the townsfolk knew exactly who his mother, father, adopted father, and his half siblings were. They knew who everybody was. They were very familiar with this family. Nazareth, if I recall correctly, Nazareth had a population of around 400, right? Which was just slightly more people than my church had when I joined it. And like, when there's only 400 people in church, you know pretty much everybody. Not everybody, but you know. And that's only 1 day, 2 days a week. Depends on what you volunteer for. But you know, when there's only 400 people at church, you know a good amount of people. If there's only 400 people in your town, you know everybody's business. If any of you live in a small town, you know, testify. You know everybody's business. Everybody. You mean the blasphemy of not believing in the perpetual virginity of Mary, which the Bible firmly debunks? I know. It's all you have to do. Look, God bless the Catholic Church. I know it's a very early church, and there's a lot of really good people and a lot of faithful people in the Catholic Church. But to debunk a lot of Catholic doctrine, all you really have to do is read the Bible. Right? All you have to do is read the Bible without someone telling you what it says. Right? Trying to reinforce some dogma, but just read it for what it says. And you're like, why do we call priests father when the Bible is adamant not to call anyone father but God? And obviously your dad. And maybe you just call him dad instead of father. All right. So I don't want to harp on that too much. I do that enough on this channel. Although I just heard something yesterday that sorry, this is a squirrel I'm chasing. I'm just going to chase it a little bit. That Coptic Christians don't believe in the Trinity. I need to look this up. I heard it from Sam Shamoon, and I'm like, is that true that Coptic Christians are? I think they believe like in a duality or something, not rather than a Trinity. I don't know. I'm curious. This is something I need to look up. I just figured they were Christians, but right. It is that anyway. The first pope after Peter did not know he was the pope. Guess what? Peter didn't know he was the pope either, because you know the pope's supposed to be celibate, and Peter had a wife, and it says that in the Bible. So I don't know where they get this from. Anyways, let's keep going. Tina says, I grew up Catholic. I no longer identify as being Catholic, though. The Pope is crazy. The current Pope and the fact that the Catholic Church chose that Pope. I mean, come on. The current Pope is anathema to everything Pope John Paul was, right? And love him or hate him, Pope John Paul, I mean, he was a fairly baller dude, right? The current Pope John Paul would have gone to war with the current Pope. So it's like, how can you have people representing Christ who are so diametrically opposite? Right? It's so weird. Oh, they don't believe that the Holy Spirit is like a separate part. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to have to look it up, Drake. I'm going to have to look up what Coptic Christians actually, what their dogma is. I don't know how to phrase it. What their theology is, I guess, is the right way to say it. Anyways, and he could there do no mighty works, save that he laid his hands upon a few sick folk and healed them. And I know it sounds like I just read this, but we read this in Matthew or Luke just a few days ago. So he marveled because of their unbelief. And he went round about the villages teaching, and he called unto him the 12, and began to send them forth 2 by 2, and gave them the power over unclean spirits. And oh wait, I overshot, didn't I? I was only supposed to go to 6. This is such a short reading. What the heck? I want to read more, but I must abide the Bible study. All right. Artemisero, the Catholics do believe in the Trinity. Yes, that's where that comes from, as far as I know. Well, the Trinity is in the Old Testament. It's just, oh, you mean the word, the Trinity? Yeah, but no, the triune nature of God is taught all over the Old Testament if you have eyes to see. Economancer says, I mean, the Catholics kind of do. Kind of do what? Kind of do what? Or did you say something to preempt they kind of do? Or are you responding to me and I don't know what you're responding to because the chat is 15 seconds behind? I heard John Paul II said there will be 2 popes after him, and the second pope after him would be evil. Did he really? And yes, hello, Economancer. Welcome to the channel. The Catholic Church got infiltrated. Like right at the beginning. Like right at the beginning. As soon as, not, if you're calling it Catholic as in the universal church, that was the church prior to the church state that was the Holy Roman Empire, right? When the church state became a thing, and being a Catholic meant doors were opened for you, right? This is the problem with and we see this in America, the nominalizing of Christianity. In America, it's nominalized. It's like, we're a Christian country and blah blah blah, and so it's like, of course I'm a Christian. I'm an American, aren't I? That kind of a mentality. Why is my wife calling me when she knows I'm in the middle of a stream? Hold, please. I'm so dumb. So I have I have crypto on my Coinbase, and then we use the Coinbase card to pay for stuff. And then I switched my so dumb. I had for a while had it spending Ethereum, and then I was like, the market was kind of going down, so I was like, oh, I don't want to keep losing value in Ethereum, so I switched it over to USDC. And then my wife is like, oh, I got to go out and buy some stuff, and I'm like, okay, let me check how much I have on the thing. So I'm like, oh man, and I thought that I was spending Ethereum still, so I switched it all over to Ethereum. And then she gets to the store and she's like, it's not going through. And I'm like, what? So I'm like, oh yeah, I have to switch them. Switchity boo. So hi, Mrs. Mike. Hello, she says, but she doesn't really. But she would if she saw you say that. I don't remember where I was. The Holy Roman Empire were Frankish and then by German kings for 10 centuries. Well, I'm talking about going all the way back to the beginning. You know why the Catholic Church worships idols? Because they nominalizing because they were nominalizing Christianity to an entire kingdom. What do you call that? Empire, into an entire empire, right? But this was an empire. I mean, you can even read it in the Bible. Like they got mad at you know who got mad at Paul? Remember who got mad at Paul? The idol makers, right? They got mad at Paul because they're like, hey, Paul's like, hey, stop worshiping this idol. The true God is the invisible God, right? And the idol makers in the Bible tried to run Paul out of town or have him arrested or have him killed. This is in the Bible. So when they nominalized Christianity, they had all these idol makers and they had all these idols. They had an idol of a mother and baby. I can't remember the name of the god that was represented by the mother and baby. But what they did was they switched labels. They took the Nike label off and they put the Adidas label on it. And they said, okay, you can still worship your idol, but now we're going to call her Mary and Jesus. And you idol makers who are a huge part of our economy, you just keep chipping away at that marble. But can you change the way this guy looks a little bit? We'll call him St. George. He fights dragons. That's why the Catholic Church still worships idols, except now they say, oh, we don't worship them. We just venerate them and kiss them and love them and put them all over our houses and places of worship. And we line the Vatican with them. If the entryway, I've been to the Vatican, the entryway to the Vatican. People keep calling me right now. The entryway to the Vatican is lined. There's rows of idols all the way, and then the what is that thing? The giant phallus, like we have in Washington. What is that called? The monolith that. Anyways, Tina says, in 1962, the KGB sent a delegation of Catholic clerics from Lithuania to the Second Vatican Council to participate in and shape the discussions.
Stay behind.
The Economancer says, again, the Roman Empire of the Byzantines from St. Constantine the Great is what y'all are pointing at, right? I mean, that's what I'm talking about currently, yeah. Byzantine is a modern word. Yes, Byzantine is meant to distinguish between the pre-Constantine Roman Empire. They do not worship idols. Worship, I believe the literal meaning of worship is to prostrate yourself before, i.e. bow down to. On top of the bowing down to the idols that the Catholics do to their St. Mary statues, they also kiss. They kiss. And I was listening to Sam Shmoon. He's like, wouldn't you kiss a photo of your son? Does that mean you're venerating? It's like, no, dude, I don't go around kiss. I have pictures of my kids all over. I don't go around kissing the pictures of my kids. And I wouldn't do it as an act of worship. I wouldn't be venerating, bowing down to a picture of my kid and then kissing them and then venerating that idol to a place of equality with Christ, God himself, and saying she's the mother of, or the queen of heaven. I can lay out a full scriptural reference on this. Feel free. It's because it's modeled after the Roman Empire. That's why they got a pope. Yeah. Holy Roman Empire was neither holy nor Roman. Discuss. Why wasn't it Roman? Pope just means father, I think you mean. Yes. And what does the scripture say? Call no man father except the Lord thy God. Is the Pope the Lord thy God? Right? And all other priests Why are you calling all priests father when the Bible is explicit to not call any man father but the Lord thy God? Well, we're the representatives of God. It doesn't say that.
Statue.
You're still a man and you're not God. So the Economancer says Christ is the icon or image of the Father, right? I don't know about icon, but yeah, it does say he's the image of the invisible God. But that doesn't make him an idol. He's God. Also, what is the definition of worship in Aramaic or Hebrew or even Greek? To prostrate before. It's prostrating yourself before. It's lowering yourself before the object of your worship. I've looked this up before. I do love art though. Some of those marble statues are breathtaking. Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh. I mean, walking into the Vatican will blow you away. First of all, I mean, it's tall enough under the dome. It's tall enough to put like a freaking apartment complex in there. It's huge inside the Vatican, like enormous. I can't remember, but it's got some stuff written in Latin, like up on the top of the dome, or ringing the top of the dome. But it's so high up. I think it's 80 feet up, if I remember correctly. The letters themselves are like, I don't know, 4 or 5 feet tall or something, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to read them because they're so high up there that they had to make those letters like super big to read the Latin that was around the top of the dome. Economancer wants us to go. Hey, you know what? Let's get back into this, but let's read the Bible study first, and then we'll get back into this after the fact. All right. All righty. So glasses. By the way, thank you for the back and forth, Economancer. I really do enjoy. I do enjoy when people come in and challenge me on what I'm saying. I am not the end all be all of truth, ladies and gentlemen. Do your own research. If you think I'm wrong, let me know. I have been known to be wrong on occasion. But I also have been studying this stuff for a very long time, so I'm not going to be wrong about too much, I think. All right, home field disadvantage. I think I need some light. Home field disadvantage by A.J. Huffman. Can I be honest with you? The hardest people to pastor by far are the people who have known me the longest. As I get close, this is true. I've got a friend of mine, and he's a pastor, and they started their own church, and I'm like, I am not going to his church. I know him too well. It just like yeah, so funny. It's absolutely true. As I get closer with someone, we inevitably run into the same issue, me and my problems. Once people get past my good looks and charm, catch the sarcasm, they see me for who I really am, a broken person doing patchwork pastoring. I know the look well. That look they give me when I inevitably disappoint them. I'm no better. I'm writing this thinking about how my poor dad must feel having 2 of his 3 sons working for him. Why do you think it's so difficult to be led by those closest to us? I think it's pride. The closer we are with someone, the more we struggle with any gap between us. We always want to be on the same level as the people we love. The problem is we miss the advice and correction we could be getting from those who know us best and who we trust the most. Let's read verse 4 again. Jesus says a prophet is not dishonored except in his hometown and among his own relatives and in his own household. Jesus was probably most excited to bless and heal the very people he grew up with, yet they could not get past their own pride to receive the joy in front of them. This tactic is still used by the devil today to keep us from maturing in our relationships with one another and ultimately limit our own righteousness. Imagine what opportunities were missed because of their pride. Think of the fathers who had children who were sick and were never healed because they couldn't fathom the idea of Jesus, this carpenter, outgrowing them. What opportunity is your pride costing you? What are you missing out on from those closest to you? We often struggle to see people as anything more than their past mistakes. What's crazy is that's not how God sees us anymore. Psalm 103:12 says, "As far as the east is from the west, so far has he removed our transgressions or sins from us." Hey, he used the New King James Version. Last time he used the NIV. That's funny. We usually fixate on people's transgressions instead of their transformation. What if we saw each other the way Jesus saw us? What if, and I know this is a crazy idea, you asked your spouse to speak into the areas of your life that you are blind to? 1 Peter 4:8 says, "Above all, keep loving one another earnestly, since love covers a multitude of sins." English Standard Version. Why is he jumping around from version to version? Let's read one book, man. Humility is the only cure for the poison of competition between friends. Based. Anyways, that's all I've got. Thanks for the group therapy. Questions. Do the people who know you best have the freedom to speak into your life, and who are they? If not, what is holding you back from giving them the freedom? Yeah, everybody's got the freedom. In fact, I'd rather people who know me best criticize me, because I feel like people who don't know me might have a false. It kind of leads back to what the earliest part of this episode was discussing. It's like people who have a false identity or a false idea of who I am because they watch, MSNBC. Let's just say it that way. And they get fed a constant stream of lies or misinformation, or disinformation about who I am. I'm automatically not going to listen to those people. All right, because they're not, but people who do know me, who can see my errors. I mean, nobody wants to hear criticism except me. Especially in art. If people who, well, okay, this isn't about art, but for me, I learned that, what year is it? 20. Whew. I learned that back in 1994. Holy cow, 30 years ago. It's a long time. That if I don't have someone who knows more than me telling me what I'm doing wrong, I'm not going to learn. You're not going to see the flaws in your work. And this kind of applies to your life too. You're not going to see the flaws in your work or your life that you are so accustomed to doing that you don't see what's wrong with it. But someone who knows better than you and can point out what you're doing wrong, that's a valuable person to have in your life, right? And that's someone you should listen to, even if the criticism hurts. People who have no idea what they're talking about, I mean, they might have a valid point here and there, but it's like sifting a mountain of sand to try and find one kernel of gold, right? So it's like, find the right people to mentor you, to disciple you in life, in your work, whatever it might be. That's how you grow as a person. That's how you grow in any skill set you're trying to learn, right? You want to be, I mean, it's funny because in Japan, in order to become a journeyman in any craft, whether that's samurai swords, sushi chef, mechanic, whatever it is, you have to apprentice for 20 years, right? The master of the craft has to start you on the most basic of basics. Like in making samurai swords, I believe the Really? I believe it's not sanding. I'm trying to remember what it was. It's like the most basic thing in it might just be being one of the hammers that's pounding the metal, right? And you do that for years. That's your job, because you need to learn the entire craft, right? In being a sushi chef, if you want to be a sushi chef in Japan, you have to apprentice under the sushi chef. And for the first year, you know what you're doing? You're washing the little hand towels. You know how when you go to a restaurant, sushi restaurant, and you like have those little hot hand towels? But like the first year, if you want to become a sushi chef, you're as an apprentice, you're washing hand towels. You have to learn all the basics of whatever craft you're doing before you get to a place. And this, like, again, I'm trying to apply this to life. It's like, here's your basics. Where's my Bible? Oh, I think it's in the other room. All right. The Bible. I'm just going to say the Bible. That's your basics. Learn your basics. Read your Bible. And not just for the first year. Every year, always, because you can always learn from it. Anyways, what is one opportunity that your pride has cost you? My pride. This is going to be dead air. I'm trying to think. Opportunity that my pride has cost you. Okay, I can think of something, but that wasn't. I guess it was pride because I prided myself on being just unfiltered. And at one early point in my career, probably around 1995, 96, I said something just vulgar. I was lined up to do this book at Dark Horse, and I had a editor, female editor, and I didn't filter myself with this. Before I was a Christian, and I was just like, I say what I say. If you don't like what I say, then you can blah 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 blah, which is pride, right? Especially in an employer situation. It's like I should have respected the hierarchy of this person can hire or fire me, because I just spoke as I would to my buddies while I was at the bar. And I'm not even going to say what I said because it was vulgar. And that was it for that job. So, oh well. Oh my gosh, there's so much chat going on in here. All right. How successful have you been at seeing people's transformation more than their transgressions? Yeah, I love seeing people actually like accept Christ and grow in their faith. What just hurts my soul. There's one person I was convinced had been born again because he kept telling me he had been born again. He was reading his Bible. He was praying, blah, blah, blah. All this is garbage. And so I felt like a betrayal when it was obvious that there was no actual growth there. But I love seeing people turn from like the kind of life I used to have to being more in fellowship with Christ. What are you staring at, Kat? All right. Daily prayer. Lord, give me your eyes to see others the way you see them. Humble my pride that I might gain the blessings of wisdom from those closest to me. Yes. Amen. In agreement. I say, all right, let's try to roll back up. Gosh, we are so far back. All right. How do they not have responsibility? Okay. Russell Shoot. Welcome, Russell. Says The context is Jesus seeing a gathering crowd, so it is up to us to reject religious nonsense. Nothing fails like prayers in a children's hospital. Believers have no sense of responsibility. I'm not sure I understand. Reject religious nonsense. Nothing fails like prayers in a children's hospital. Believers have no sense of responsibility. I don't understand. What do you mean? Yeah, what is economic? I agree with Economancer's question. How do they not have responsibility? Prayers fail for many reasons. Prayers fail because our will is not God's will. Right? Grant says, I'll need to go back and forth and watch this from the beginning. Yeah, let's roll past this. Russell says, it is best to render to Caesar. Christ hath redeemed us from the curse of the law, being made a curse for us. For it is written, cursed is everyone that hangeth on a tree. Galatians 2. All right, I feel like I'm missing the conversation. Economancer says, my pride has cost me opportunity to work with larger YouTubers. Oh, really?
You're a fan.
Well, you know what, Economancer? What you want to do is build your own channel or build your own audience. Being reliant on other YouTubers' audience is never a good idea. Super Cat. Yeah, he did just jump out of nowhere, huh? Russell says, believers fail to comprehend the saying of Jesus Christ, which has lasted to this day. Believers are found among a gathering crowd when Jesus Christ is alarmed by a wicked generation. I feel like I'm missing everything. Every time I'm reading one of Russell's, I feel like I'm missing the greater conversation. 20 years for an apprenticeship, man, that's some education. Yeah, well, it is, because you have to become a true master of whatever the craft is. So, Artemis says, I second that. No, he's seconding. The rapture is a very recent theology, more famous in North America variants of Christianity. Well, here's the thing. 2 Thessalonians says we will be caught up into the air. The word rapture is a Latin translation from, or I think it's rapturos, is the Latin translation of the Greek where it says caught up. So if you're reading it in Latin, I could be wrong, but I believe this is how that word came to be, because it's not. It's caught up in English. It's not rapture, but in Latin, it's rapturos, which is where we get the word rapture, and it's in 2 Thessalonians. I know there's people who are post, but it literally says we are caught up in the air. So to say it's not biblical, you're literally saying that 2 Thessalonians isn't saying what it says. I'm going to read it. What the heck? Is faith more respectable when you find prophets and cherubim in the yellow pages? Russell, I don't know what you're talking about. Faith's crime is indoctrinating children with Fantasyland. The king of the Jews would not end up stuck to a stick unless Jesus was a Roman joke. Oh, you're like an atheist or something. All right. Men have always known faith as a farce, a means of social control, state propaganda, fiction, rhetoric. The great evil of faith is it serving as a mask for insanity and authoritarians. Let's see. Men have always known faith as a farce. That's completely false. A means of social control that it has been used. It has absolutely been used. I mean, the entire history of the Catholic Church up until, well, I don't know when it started, but the corruption that led to Martin Luther and the 99 Theses. Yeah, when you had, and post that, Literally, the Catholic Church would have you executed if you owned a Bible or if you read a Bible. That, to me, definitely a means of social control, right? Because you are wanting to maintain absolute control of the beliefs of people rather than allowing them to read what God put in his word. State propaganda.
You're low on fuel.
I mean, if you're talking about like a church state thing like the Holy Roman Empire, sure. Fiction, some faith is a fiction, but if your faith is in the one true God, it certainly is not. Rhetoric. I'll go with that. Yeah, we can be rhetorical. Why not? The great evil of faith is it serving as a mask for insanity and authoritarians. Kind of thing. I mean, I'm sure there are authoritarians. I mean, like Catholic Church, I'm sure has had its authoritarians. I'm sure Protestant kings and whatnot have had their authoritarians who used the Bible or used church to that end as well. But it's not. You can certainly have authoritarians who are anti, like Stalin, Mao, Hitler, Pol Pot, Castro. You absolutely have authoritarians, but in the last century, the primary authoritarian dogma was atheism. So I'll let you run with that fact. Tell me you do not understand faith without telling me you don't understand. All right, this seems like a more interesting conversation. I wonder what the new Wrangler says, no, they would not execute you. That is a nonsensical lie. Economancer, go read Fox's Book of Martyrs. I'll just leave it at that. It's not a nonsensical lie. It's absolute historical truth. Go read Fox's Book of Martyrs. Wrangler says, I used to believe that faith was just a tool for social control. God proved me wrong. A harsh lesson that I needed. Yeah, I mean, I grew up agnostic. I grew up without faith in anything but myself. In fact, I remember there was this, what was his name? Rudolph. There was this like homeless street preacher dude in San Jose that used to hang out where we did as skaters. And he's like, I just remember arguing with him one time, and he's like, so you got to believe in something. So what do you believe in? I said, I believe in myself. He's like, oh, that's good. Oh, it's terrible, terrible argument from his end. It was not a good. I believe in myself is not a good argument.
All right, go eat now too.
There are plenty of atheist authoritarians. Yeah, I mean, in the past century, I'm not going to say it's exclusive, but on a global scale, it's fairly exclusive. The authoritarians of the atheist variety are responsible for the murder, the deaths of 100 million plus people just in the past century. Actually, not even the past century, just the past 80 years. Economancer says, I can tell you that many books have been embellished. All right, I get it, dude. You want to defend your church, but your church is done. They sold indulgences, dude. There's a reason Martin Luther, who was as devout a Catholic as you can get, nailed the 99 Theses to the wall or to the door of the church. Right? He wasn't trying to start a new church. He was, you know what he was? You know, Jesus, a prophet is not without honor except in his own home. He was trying to say the church is doing very anti-Bible stuff. That's what the 99 Thesis was, if you've never read it. And so they literally sold indulgences. It's like, yeah, go ahead, you can send. Just, got to chip a couple into the coffers. Bro, that was a church policy. There was so much the Catholic Church was doing wrong that Martin Luther, who just wanted to reform the stuff that the church was doing wrong, was excommunicated from the church for pointing out the stuff they were doing wrong. I'm sorry, but that's not how a church should act. Any church. I'm not Latin. They are wrong, but lies don't help either side. Well, you're going to have to prove historically that stuff is ahistorical. Because it seems Fox's Book of Martyrs is a very well-researched book, as far as I know. Tina says, I can't tell you guys how happy I was when my power came back on the next day. I was so afraid I was going to have to throw all my food out, but everything is safe. Rock and roll. Yeah, it'll stay cold for a while if you leave your fridge closed. It's so frustrating waiting for power to come back on, wondering how long it's going to take. All right. It has been almost an hour, which means I am about 10 minutes over. I like to try to keep these things at 45 minutes, but Economancer says Fox was considered a poor historian in mainstream reference works. The 1911 Encyclopedia Britannica said this of Fox: the gross blunders due to carelessness have often been exposed, and there is no honor that his advocacy of religious toleration was far in advance of his day. His advocacy of religious toleration. There's no honor that his advocacy of religious toleration was far in advance. I don't even understand what that means. I don't understand what that means. Amy says, I have faith in myself too. I have faith in myself to be saved by Jesus. Missed a comment. La 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 la. I mean, it goes from this one to this one on my StreamYard. So is there something else? Let me see. No, that's all it shows on YouTube too. Context, people, context. All right. Anyways, I'm going to wrap this up. You want to continue this conversation? You can join the Discord. Jeff, drop the link to the Discord. Or come back. Oh, gosh, it's Friday, isn't it? Is it Friday? It's Friday. It's my daughter's birthday. Happy birthday, Eden. 22 years old today. And so, yeah. Come on back on Monday for the next exciting episode of Cross Examination.
Back in line, you dog! On your feet! Get them going!